This is the Eufy S1 Pro robot vacuum, a very futuristic looking robotic vacuum, but not only does it look super cool, but it also does something better than any other robotic vacuum I've tested thus far. In today's video, I'm going to tell you 5 things that you're going to want to know about this Eufy S1 Pro before you decide to buy it. Let's jump into the video. Alright, first things first, I want to thank Eufy for sending this out to me for a full honest review, but this is not sponsored in any other way. Alright, first thing that you're going to want to know is about the mopping. That is why you're going to want to buy this vacuum, because you want the best mopping experience out there that I've ever tested. Yes, it looks futuristic, which I'll talk about more in a moment. It has a lot of other great features, but the main reason that you're going to want to buy this vacuum over any other one is because it mops better than any other vacuum out there on the market today. But it does have its limitations, so let's go ahead and talk about this a little bit deeper. Now, we've all seen the robotic vacuums that kind of have that mopping pad on the bottom that's just kind of standard. Yes, some of them might have like a sonic vibrate. It does an okay job, but it's pretty much just dragging along that mopping pad on the bottom, and it doesn't get washed until it gets back to the base station. So you're dragging along a dirty mopping pad. And then there's the robots that have the rotating mopping pads. Most of them are circular in shape, but I've seen a few that are kind of triangular. And what's great about those is that they have the ability to extend out. That way it gets the edges and can reach into places where other ones could not reach. However, these pads still get dirty after just a minute or two of use and doesn't get fully clean until it gets back to base station. Obviously, most of these robots you can send back to base station more often to get clean, but that's going to take more water and more time cleaning your floors. But most recently, and including this brand new Eufy S1 Pro, has a roller base mopping pad, and this is going to add water automatically. Has an onboard water tank, and it's going to add clean water to that rolling mopping head, but also has a built-in dirty water tank, so it's going to clean it while it's actually mopping. Obviously, it can't last forever. It will need to go back to the base station, which the Eufy S1 Pro has a great setting where you can send it back within just a couple 100 square foot, or obviously you can keep it out there longer if you want to, or by room, or the entire cleaning. But what's great about this design is that you're always going to have a clean mopping head as it's going around. Really cool, really does a great job. Eufy has done a bunch of different videos showing how well this does. I did my own test with some dried up ketchup and mustard, and I must say it did an amazing job just on the first pass. I also love that this rolling mop is pretty wide, almost as wide as the robot itself. It's pretty much edge to edge of the robot. It's a little shy at coming in at 11.5 inches, just about 290 millimeters. Now, the downside to this is that it's only going to clean where the robot goes. It's not going to extend out like some of the rotating mopping pads that can get the edges. So keep in mind that this does a great job in the body of your floor, but when it comes to edges and corners, it misses them all together. Also keep in mind this is for dried stains or dried up stuff on your hard floors. It is not for wet things. It's not for milk or other liquids. Unfortunately, there's no way to run the robot in mop only mode, so the vacuum will always be on, and having liquid being sucked up into the dust roller and also the dust bin is not something that you want to happen. And yes, you will have to clean that up, and otherwise it's going to start stinking, where it's a lot easier if it did have a mop only. It would be sucked up into the dirty water bin via the mopping roller, but unfortunately that setting is not currently available. So hopefully they add that feature so you can do small liquid spills in the near future. And since we're talking about mopping, I do want to let you know the base station does have the ability to add detergent automatically, which is awesome. But unfortunately, it is their proprietary bottles. So unless you jerry-rig some way to get detergent into that bottle, you'll have to buy their detergent. I don't love that you're locked into buying their brand detergent. Would like to have my own bottle, be able to fill up with whatever detergent that I would like, but unfortunately right now it's just their bottles. Maybe they'll sell a different one in the future. This also adds ozone. They call it EcoClean Ozone. Never even heard of ozone before except for the ozone layer, but apparently this helps with bacteria, to keep bacteria off of the floor and building up in the machine. It's really cool seeing the base station have all these like really small little bubbles, but other than that, I can't tell any difference. It's cool looking at it, but to be honest, I just think it's a marketing thing and it looks cool, but in reality, I don't know what it really does. However, this is the best mopping experience I've had on any robot vacuum thus far, and I've tested a bunch of these over the past couple years, and this definitely is the best of the best when it comes to mopping. However, keep in mind, like I said earlier, it doesn't mop edges or corners, so if that's important to you and you have to have your edges clean or you don't want to do them yourself, definitely let me know down in the comments below and I'll suggest a different vacuum for you. Now let's go ahead and talk about the second thing that you're going to want to know about this before you decide to buy it, and that is about the base station, or what they call the UniClean Station. This is where the robot's going to go back and get clean, and by far this is one of the best futuristic, awesome looking base stations I've seen to date. Now when it first goes back, it's going to clean the roller brush, get that deep cleaning, although it's cleaning itself as it's mopping, but you really want to get deep clean when it's totally done. Or like I said earlier, you can program it to go back earlier at predetermined square footage to get that deep cleaning, and then it can go back out. This is also when it's going to empty out the dirty water of the robot and also get fresh clean water into the onboard water tank. This is also where it's going to clean out the onboard dustbin. By the way, that onboard dustbin is pretty small in my opinion, much smaller than other robot vacuums. But obviously when it goes back, as long as it cleans out, it really doesn't matter. It has a standard dust bin in the base station that's a good size, that's going to last a few months, so really it doesn't matter as long as it goes back enough to clean out that smaller dust bin. I also noticed that it sucks out the dust from the robot from underneath instead of behind it like most others. It's really cool to see that they made this piping in the base station for underneath and then coming back up into the dust collector or dust bag. Really great to see that new design, and I love looking at it. I come into my dining room pretty much every morning, which by the way, I love the design of the water tank. You have the clean water tank on the very front of it on top, which by the way, the overall height of this is much taller. Oh, I wouldn't say much taller, probably about 3 inches higher than any other one that I currently have, but it's also much thinner. So having that water tank on the top is much easier to see, and being on front and being clear, you can see how much water is in there. There's a little light, and that way before you leave for work, you can see if there's enough water in there or if you have to fill it up. And then behind there, that is where the dirty water tank is, and that is kind of covered up so you won't be able to see that dirty, ugly water. But overall, the futuristic design of this just blows me away. Looking at this, you're just like, wow, what is this thing? It looks like a rocket ship, and then you have the robot underneath, which the design of the robot itself is also very futuristic. It doesn't have the LiDAR on top, that big circular thing that's but ugly in every other robot. The LiDAR is actually built into the robot in the front of it, and it's a great design. Also, it's auto drying, so when the robot comes back, when it's totally done, it's gonna dry that rolling mopping head. It does take a little bit longer because it's a rolling mopping head rather than a flat design, so it's gonna take a few hours, but does use hot air around 55 degrees Celsius. I think that works out to like 131 degrees Fahrenheit, so it does use hot air. But like I said, because of that roller design, it does take a while, but at least it's going to prevent it from stinking or building bacteria. It also has a little LCD display on top so you can see what the robot is doing, and a couple buttons to control it. Really, You just use the app, but if you did want to control it, you can send it out for cleaning or have it come back via those buttons on top. But I just use the app for that. Now let's go ahead and move on to number 3, the third thing that you're going to want to know about this, and this is about its cleaning ability or vacuum ability. I talked about the mopping earlier is the best of the best mopping experience I've ever had, but when it comes to vacuuming, it's just okay. Yes, it has 8,000 pascals of suction power. It has 2 rotating brushes on either side of the vacuum, which is kind of unusual. It's not the first time I've seen it, but most of them only have one on the right hand side. This one has one on the right and the left, which is great to see. But I would rather have seen a robot arm that comes out with that rotating brush. That way it can get into corners. As you can see here in this video, it totally missed the dust in this corner altogether. I sent out another vacuum with that robotic arm that comes out and it got it without any issue. So even though this is kind of like a square robotic that does better in corners, it just didn't do great in corners because it doesn't have a robotic arm. So would like to have seen that, but keep in mind it still does a great job in the body, on your rugs, on your carpets, in the body of your rooms. It's going to do amazing job. But then again, it doesn't get the corners or the edges because the suction power is just in the middle. And also when it comes to the roller brush, it's just a standard rubber rolling brush. Yes, it looks cool, but I don't think it's going to do great long term with hair and strings that might come upon. So you will have to maintain it, get in there and clean it out from time to time. But other than the corner, it did a great job. It did just as well as every other robotic vacuums out there on the market, even ones that have 11 and 12,000 pascals of suction power. Really, you're not going to see a huge difference between like 8 and 12,000. There's just no difference in everyday life. Yes, when it gets into mopping mode and it comes across carpets, it will raise that mopping pad up so it doesn't get your carpets or rugs wet, and it will also increase the suction power up to the maximum or whatever setting that you have in the app. That way it does pick up more on carpets and rugs. And now moving on to the fourth thing that you're going to want to know about this before you decide to buy it is about the obstacle avoidance. This by far, just like the Eufy X10 Pro, is the best of the best when it comes to obstacle avoidance. Yes, it does have a little camera on there and some light sensors. Whatever technology it's using to avoid obstacles, low hanging obstacles like wires and pet feces, this thing avoids them altogether. So whatever Eufy is programming in their robot vacuums for obstacle avoidance, it is by far and hands down the best in the industry, and you're not going to be disappointed when it comes to obstacle avoidance. If you have young pets in the house that might have accidents or kids that leave out wires or shoelaces, in my testing, it was 100%. It didn't even touch a single thing. And I do all low to the ground things, unlike people who do cups and toys and shoes. Yes, if it's big and high like that, these robots have no problems. But when it comes to pet feces and wires and shoelaces, Eufy definitely hands down and bar none is the best in the industry when it comes to obstacle avoidance. And now for the fifth thing that you're going to want to know before you decide to buy this, and that is about the smart home integration. I gotta tell you, it's pretty lacking here. Yes, the Eufy app is awesome. The Eufy Clean app is awesome. But when it comes to integration with like Lady A, Google Home, HomeKit, or Apple Home, or Siri shortcuts, it's pretty limited. Yes, it has support for Google Assistant and also Lady A, Alexa, but it's just basic control, so you can trigger it to go out and clean your entire house or come back and charge. But I found in Alexa that it really didn't work that well. I also tried this with the Eufy plugin for Homebridge, and that did not work at all for me. And there's currently no support for Matter. Hopefully they'll bring that in the near future. That's just a simple firmware update that will bring it to most smart home platforms. But I think even then, you're only going to have simple controls just to turn it on and send it back home. Maybe if they have some serious shortcuts set up, you will be able to customize it, say go clean the kitchen or clean the living room. But most robot vacuums that I've seen today, either through Matter or through direct connection through Alexa or Google, are just very basic. And I'd just rather use the native app to say, go clean this room or go clean this zone, rather than clean up everything. So that's just my personal opinion. I don't see a huge need for integration, but you know, if you want it, hopefully they're working on that soon. But all in all, this is a great robot vacuum. Like I said earlier, this is by far it has two things that it does better than any other vacuum out there on the market, and that is mopping. This is just mopping your basic hard floors. It's not going to do edges or corners. Does that better than any other one that I've tested. And also obstacle avoidance. Just Eufy overall, even the Eufy X10 Pro did a great job at obstacle avoidance. So if you're looking for those two things and the price is right, then this one is definitely for you. But if you're still not quite sure, if you have questions, let me know down in the comments below. I'll love to help point you in the right direction. I'll also leave affiliate links, any promo codes or discount codes that I might have for this down in the description below. So definitely check those out. Those affiliate links definitely help out this channel so I can provide great reviews for you guys. Don't forget to smash that like button. All right guys, that's gonna wrap it up for me. I hope this video was helpful. I will see you guys on next video.